And good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to Late Night Video. And tonight we'll be discussing Equinox from 1970. Directed by Dennis Muren and Jack Woods, more on that in a moment, Equinox is a supernatural-based creature feature. And it tells the story of a young man who receives a mysterious call from his geology professor. Said professor asks the young man to meet him at his cabin in the woods, but won't say why. Nope, not suspicious at all. So the overly trusting student, along with a small group of friends, head out to what they think will be a pretty good time. But when they arrive, they find the professor is gone and his cabin has been destroyed. Turns out, Dr. Waterman has been using an ancient book, which the group of young people soon end up with, to summon demons. Let's just say that didn't go too well for the professor. And then things start to get weird as the group deal with an evil sheriff with a Ming the Merciless ring and a bunch of monsters. It doesn't help that the young people are exceptionally stupid. Equinox began as what was essentially a student film made by Dennis Muren and stop-motion greats Dave Allen and Jim Danforth. It then kind of sat on the shelf. Muren would end up using it as a demo reel, showing it to sci-fi producer Jack Harris of the Blob fame. Harris liked it enough to buy it and would bring in editor/soundman Jack Woods to re-edit, fix the sound, and shoot additional scenes, bringing up the runtime, thus it having two directors. Much of the cast didn't do much else genre film-wise, but there were a few of note. In his very first role, we have Frank Bonner as one of the young people. Bonner is probably best known as Herb from WKRP in Cincinnati. Then we have co-director Jack Woods as the evil sheriff, aka the man with power action eyebrows. Really, this Joker's eyebrow game was next level. Woods was mostly known as a sound man, having worked on the vastly underrated Star Trek VI, Summer Rental, and the also vastly underrated Overboard. Equinox was one of only 2 acting credits and his only directing credit. And finally, we have acclaimed sci-fi writer Fritz Leiber as our mysterious demon-summoning professor. It's a small role, but it's Fritz Leiber, so that's pretty darn spiffy. In the original version of the film, Leiber had dialogue, but that was cut out for the Harris version. This wasn't his only film though, he did several others. His father, Fritz Leiber Sr., was also an actor. Now it's time to talk about the true star of the show, the special effects. And these were done, as mentioned, by 3 effects legends, Dennis Muren, Jim Danforth, and Dave Allen. Ranging from forced perspective all the way to stop motion, the film features a winged demon, a large dinosaur meets ogre-like creature, the illegitimate love child of the Incredible Hulk and Ega, haven't done one of those in a little while, and a squid-like creature that reminded me a lot of the LJN Bendy Grell figure from back in the day. Muren would go on to win 8 Oscars for his effects work, and would be a major part of ILM. He worked on Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, and Terminator 2. Jim Danforth, who was already an accomplished stop-motion animator, worked on all kinds of great stuff, including The Time Machine, Clash of the Titans, and once again, it comes back to Flesh Gordon. And the final member of our heroic trio, we have Dave Allen, who is probably nearest and dearest to my heart of the 3, having worked on Ghoulies 2, multiple Puppet Master films, and his dream project, The Primevals, which I discuss in depth in the 2nd episode of the Obscure and Underrated Sci-Fi Movies series. The original version of the film was called The Equinox, A Journey into the Supernatural, but that was shortened simply to Equinox when Jack Harris got the picture. The budget of that first version was $6,500. Harris would then put in another $1,500 or so. As mentioned, Equinox had 2 directors, but only Jack Woods was credited as director, with Dennis Muren listed only as an associate producer, even though he directed much of the film and worked on the special effects. As I'm sure many of you have picked up on, Equinox shares quite a few similarities to The Evil Dead, an uncanny amount, some might say. But Raimi has never confirmed an influence. Tom Sullivan, who did effects on The Evil Dead, said that he had seen Equinox several times before work began on Evil Dead, and though he and Raimi had never discussed the film, he admits the similarities were remarkable. So what do I think? Clearly Sam Raimi was possessed by Asmodeus. It's the only logical explanation. And on another D&D related note, when I think of Asmodeus, or Asmodeus as people seem to say a lot these days, I always think first and foremost of the Asmodeus from the Monster Manual. Also of note, actor Ed Begley Jr. of Amazon Women on the Moon fame was a cameraman on the film. and Sci-Fi and Monster Kid legend Forrest J. Ackerman has a brief voiceover role. Equinox has been released on VHS, Criterion DVD, and, are you ready for this? It got a Super 8 release. I don't get to talk about those too often. If you dig low-budget regional filmmaking and/or stop motion, this one is certainly worth checking out. It takes a little while to get to that red-hot creature action, but when it does, oh doggy, you are in for a stop-motion treat. And that's all the time we have for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, watch the skies, and stay atomic.
If you've been looking high and low for a big car as good as a Volkswagen, maybe you should look into our big car, the Volkswagen 411. It has some things no Volkswagen ever had, like 4 big doors and lots of room and luxury for the whole family. It has some advanced things most cars don't have, like electronic fuel injection, an automatic preheating system, and a big trunk up front. But you don't have to be a genius to drive the 411 because it comes with an automatic transmission, also as standard equipment. So now, there's a Volkswagen big enough for just about everyone. The Volkswagen 411 4-door sedan.
London's under siege. But beware, this gobbling brute is a master of disguise.
Yeah, matey!
Do not confront him. Always carry your regulation chewits. There's nothing chewier. And keep the enemy from your door. Chewits, chew for victory.
Imagine, beneath the surface, in the underworld of vinyl, plastic, rubber, leather, wood, a battle rages against rot. And nothing fights rot like Armor All Protectant. It penetrates surfaces, shields against rot. Win the battle against rot with Armor All Protectant.
Armor All makes your world